you can see the setup of the battle and how we deployed my gray plastic Inhumans with Black Dwarf and Andy's beautiful Spam Wilson list. 5 models versus 6. Playing Demon Portals, and we're playing Cube Fragments. Black Dwarf advances, he advances again, and he picks up the center Cube Fragment while contesting the Demon Portal in the middle. Andy's Cap double long moves and snatches up the Cube Fragment on the left side of my table edge. Anything Andy can do, I can do better. Quicksilver double moves up onto this box truck and snatches up the Cube Fragment on Andy's side of the table. Andy's Iron Fist walks forward and she strikes my Quicksilver, dealing no damage. My good boy Lockjaw activates, picks up 3 power from being close to a friend, teleports forward the Hair Lady, walks onto the Demon Portal on my side and ends his activation. Andy uses the Avengers Assemble Tactics card, pushing forward Vision, War Machine, Luke Cage, Hawkeye, and Cap. So spent 5 power total, 1 off each of those characters, did a lot of interesting moves. The Vision activates, flies to the top of this building, and fires a Solar Energy Beam at Medusa, dealing 1 point of damage and sapping 1 power. I activate my Black Bolt, he advances over, picks up this Cube Fragment, takes some cover behind this dumpster and ends his activation. War Machine fires 2 Metal Storms at Quicksilver, dealing no damage, but does apply bleed. I pass my activation, and Hawkeye does Hawkeye things, firing 2 energy shots into my Black Dwarf. He deals 1 point of damage and the shot condition. Medusa pulls a power from Lockjaw, advances medium, over by Vision and Cap. She uses Braid Bash on Cap, which does proc a flurry, so she does it twice on him, dealing a total of 2 damage. She has enough power now to do her throw. She's going to throw Vision into Cap. Unfortunately, Cap takes no damage, but Vision does still take 1 for the collision. Last activation of the round, Luke Cage advances up, contests the middle Demon Portal, does a Power Man Punch on Black Dwarf for no damage, and that is going to be the end of the round. Both of us control 1 Demon Portal. I control 3 fragments to Andy's 2, so the score is 4-3 to me. As far as round 1, I think so far so good. When you're playing Inhumans, the real key is to not take big damage on round 1 as you come in. They can be a little soft. I did very well at that, took very little damage at all in that round, and I was able, as the player with initiative, to grab the first fragment and get that 3-2 advantage in the fragment race. Round 2 begins with my Medusa activating first. She does a Braid Bash into Cap, which deals 2 damage, which is enough to daze him. He then drops his Cube Fragment, which she picks up. This attack does trigger a flurry, which she uses on Vision, dealing 1 point of damage to him. Now that the timing stack is resolved for the flurry, Andy can use the affiliation move to get Vision out of dodge and heal him for a point. After that, the Hair Lady uses her second AP to walk forward, and since she has a boatload of power now from all this damage she has dealt, she decides to throw Luke Cage, colliding with the Dodge Viper for 1 point of damage. Iron Fist starts off with a flying kick on Quicksilver, dealing 2 damage and placing himself within range 1. His second action point was going to be a Chi Strike, but Quicksilver uses Can't Catch Me to get out of its range. This refunds the action point back to Iron Fist, who then does another kick, which is still in range of Quicksilver. This deals no damage, but he gets to place within 1 down there at the bottom of the building. Back to me, my Quicksilver is taking a bunch of damage, and he needs to get out of dodge, so he quickly moves down by that dumpster, pulls the power over from Lockjaw, uses that power to med pack himself, healing himself for 3. And uses his last action point to climb up onto this tank way back in my back right corner. Hawkeye activates, shoots 2 energy arrows at my Black Dwarf, deals a total of 3 damage, bleed, and poison conditions. The Best Boy activates. He's going to do 2 teleports. First one is on Black Bolt. It's going to teleport him up onto the size 4 dump truck there. After that, he's going to teleport forward Black Dwarf right up into the pocket of Andy's Luke Cage and Hawkeye. Luke Cage, not intimidated at all by Black Dwarf, picks up a dumpster, breaks it over his head, dazes him, takes his cube fragment, walks up to the middle demon portal, and clears the incinerate condition from himself. The King of the Inhumans decides to have a huge activation. He starts off by energy bolting Hawkeye to death, dealing 4 and dazing him. Vision uses the affiliation move to move forward, and this puts me into a little bit of a bind, because Vision has beam range to both Medusa and Bolt, and he has not activated yet, so he could double beam them, generating 4 attacks. I decided to use my second action point to attack Vision, dealing no damage. Black Bolt has enough power to use all you've got, and since he's probably going to die anyway to the double beams, or to get dazed anyway, I go ahead and do it. He pulls a power from Medusa, and energy bolts Cage, dealing 2 damage. He then uses that power to focus the next energy bolt in the Cage, rolling more dice, dealing enough damage to daze him, and forcing him to drop his cube fragment in front of the dog. War Machine moves up using the affiliation move. Black Bolt is dazed from all you've got, dropping his fragment kind of in War Machine's path. Vision activates and hits Medusa with a Synthesoid Avenger, dealing 4, dazing her, and forcing her to drop her cube fragment. He does not, unfortunately, have enough power to pick it up. He ends his activation, and then War Machine activates, walking forward, picking up a cube fragment, and then readjusting his position to contest the middle demon portal. This is frankly a pretty incredible board state. We've left it in here with 3 fragments on the ground. Everyone's incinerated, everyone's dazed. There's 6 dazed characters on the floor right now. Super bloody. Scoring ends up being 2 to me and 3 to Andy, so we are now tied at 6-6 going into round 3. Man, round 2 is a doozy, right? 6 dazed characters. One of them self-inflicted with all you've got. I think that was probably the right play. My Black Bolt was going to get double shot by Vision. He was going to end up flipping, or dazing I should say, Medusa and Black Bolt. And really, the same kind of economy either way. Like, it didn't really cost him anything extra to do that because the beams just generate, essentially free attacks. So I figured I'd go out guns blazing, and I ended up flipping Luke Cage in the process. Not bad. I think it worked out. Everybody likes Black Bolt on the backside because then you get the beam and then you get the 9 HP. And we'll see how it does going into round 3. Alright, here comes a long activation. Black Bolt pulls the power off the dog, uses a Tillin Rising to give a bunch of power to everybody, does a Whisper that's going to hit 3 of Andy's models, and does a point of damage to my Black Dwarf. The Whisper ends up killing Luke Cage entirely. This procs the affiliation move, which Andy is going to use on Iron Fist off to the right side here. The beam attack then targets War Machine, dazing him entirely, dealing 4 damage to him. Black Bolt snatches up his cube fragment. And Hawkeye smartly uses the affiliation move to just nudge himself out of range. The beam also destroys the Dodge Viper because it has a cool rule that does that. With the second action point, he's going to go ahead and just do a regular energy bolt on Vision. Vision flips into his anti-energy mode, but I still manage to deal 2 damage to him. Vision decides to activate because he's near death, medpacks himself to get himself back in fighting form, and does a classic Vision turn of double beaming, hitting Medusa for 5 and Black Bolt for 1. He then ends his activation. Medusa is near death, she has 1 HP remaining, so I have to activate her and try to get some value out of the power sitting on her. She does a Braid Bash on Hawkeye, does 0 damage, decides to spend her remaining power by teleporting Black Dwarf forward using Inhuman Royal Family, and then teleporting herself within 1 of Black Dwarf using Inhuman Royal Family. And then she uses the affiliation to put a power from herself onto Black Dwarf. Not a great Medusa activation, not a great Medusa game, to be honest. Andy's Captain America activates, flies over with a charge, throws a shield at Medusa, but deals no damage. He then picks up the cube fragment and throws the shield again. This time it's enough to deal the 1 point of damage needed to knock her out of the game. Back to my activation, Black Dwarf decides to give Hawkeye a brutal end, dealing 5 damage, killing him, and of course proccing an affiliation move that Cap uses to kind of move closer to my table edge. Black Dwarf repositions and ends his activation. Andy passes his activation, I activate my dog, walk forward, pick up a fragment, throw a power on Black Bolt, walk back to the demon portal, and end my activation. It's Iron Fist's time to shine. He advances forward, does a karate kick on Black Bolt, deals 1 point of damage, but more importantly, gets a place within one of him, which allows him to contest the middle demon portal. You're seeing a theme forming here, because Quicksilver's going to run up, use his Cyclonic Vortex Spender to deal a point of damage to Iron Fist, and use the free move to place himself within one of the demon portal. That's going to wrap the round up. Big swing for the Inhumans, 5 victory points to 2. That's going to put me up to an 11-8 lead going into round 4. Things are shaping up reasonably well for me so far. I think the slow scoring is ultimately the way to go with Inhumans. Demon Portals is super slow to score, and it incinerates everybody and kind of gives Inhumans that attritional advantage that they want. They want to play slow games, and they want to grind you down. I think that's happening in a reasonable way, but it's not. I'm not murdering him by any stretch. This list that he's playing is incredibly versatile and actually durable and hits hard. So he's definitely right there with me. The main advantage now is that I'm just up on VPs, and he's going to have to play in that regard of not letting me just auto win this round. The Iron Fist uses the Iron Fist on my Black Bolt. This is a real nasty attack. It deals 2 damage to Black Bolt, 1 to Quicksilver, and 1 to Black Dwarf. It also activates my Black Bolt, which is huge. He then does a Chi Strike, which does another point of damage to my Black Bolt, and ends his activation. Black Dwarf advances to the middle demon portal, and using his Enforced Oblivion superpower, takes an 8 dice swing at War Machine. Iron Fist decides to use Heroes for Hire to take the hit instead, since he's already activated. This 8 dice versus 2 dice roll, even with martial arts, is plenty, and it ends up dazing Iron Fist. Black Dwarf spends the power to use Bitter Rivals on War Machine, and then throws the huge size 4 truck at Vision. Vision decides to use Brace for Impact, as he would be basically having to roll 2 dice against 5 incoming damage, which probably would have killed him. Captain America does a charging airlift, flying over to the backside demon portal, moving Vision, and throwing his shield at Black Bolt. This attack deals a damage, ricochets to Quicksilver for nothing. He does it again, dealing no damage, leaving my Black Bolt on 1 HP. My dog moves forward and pulls a power off Quicksilver, putting him on 3 power for reasons. Back to Andy, his Vision decides to beam over my Black Dwarf and my Black Bolt. Black Dwarf uses Intimidating Presence to effectively take both hits, only taking 1 total damage. Vision uses his second action point to do a Synthesoid Avenger on Black Bolt. This does enough damage to kill Black Bolt, but of course Lockjaw intervenes using last minute save, pulling Black Bolt to within 1 of him, and after some deliberation I end up on this position here. Quicksilver activates, pulls a power off of Black Dwarf using the affiliation. That gives him 4, and is going to allow him to do a spender twice. The first one on Vision does a point of damage, and gives me a free medium move that I use to contest the back point. I do it again, hit Vision again for 1 point, leaving him on 1 HP remaining, and move fully onto the demon portal in the back. The time has come for Black Bolt to die. War Machine does a Metal Storm, does nothing to the dog but deals the 1 needed to finally kill Black Bolt. He then walks over, picks up this cube fragment, and contests the center point. That's going to wrap up the round. Scoring is 4 to me and 3 to Andy. Another pretty wild round. I think my VP advantage is going to swing this for me, but we're going to have to see here. We're both down to 3 models, but I do have first activation. That first activation is going to be very key. The very first thing in the round is that in the power phase, the cube fragments all do damage to their holders, and unfortunately for Vision being on 1 HP, it immediately dazes him and he drops it, and I place it right there. Another interesting interaction is that the affiliation allows War Machine a free move because this happened. Black Dwarf activates, and Brutal ends Iron Fist. Cap uses the affiliation move to advance to the point and to clear Incinerate. Black Dwarf picks up the cube fragment, walks over onto this demon portal, and picks up the size 3 Hydra light tank and smashes it down on Cap. This unfortunately only deals 2, which is not quite enough to kill him, which means Andy still has a puncher's chance in this game. It's do or die time for Andy. Captain America is going to throw shields a whole bunch here and try to assassinate both Black Dwarf and Quicksilver. Black Dwarf has, I think, 3 HP and Quicksilver has 1. So he basically needs to kill Black Dwarf with one or the second throw and ricochet into Quicksilver, or, basically kill each of them with 1 attack each. It doesn't go that way, unfortunately. Black Dwarf ends on 1 HP, Cap is out of activations, and at that point, the way the scoring works out, at best, this game can end 17-16 under the assumption that War Machine kills my dog. What a banger of a game to come back, for 2.0 here of the channel. That was awesome. Thanks to the game, Andy. You're always a really super gracious opponent. I don't really have much of a post-mortem on this one. I think the game was played at a fairly high level. A couple minor mistakes maybe, but nothing egregious. But just a great one to get on camera. Really the only game I've recorded in months. So awesome stuff. Hopefully we'll be able to put these out, maybe like one every couple weeks. It's a lot of editing work for me, so I don't think weekly is probably realistic anymore for me. But I'm really pumped to be playing the game and in the game store again and be able to record. And I hope you guys are pumped to see more battle reports. Thanks for watching.